I caught John and his ex-girlfriend kissing inside a car, and then I smashed the windshield. He looked at me coldly and said, "We're about to get married. Aren't you satisfied yet? Do you still have to throw a tantrum?" I looked at the person I had loved for so many years. "John, have you forgotten that you were the one who begged me to marry you?" The last time I saw Madeline was in John's study. He hugged me and said, "It's all in the past. Don't worry about it." Then he threw her photo into the trash can. Now, standing in front of the car, my fingertips were trembling, and my chest was heaving. Yet, he seemed oblivious, gentlemanly unfastening her seatbelt and saying, "Go home first. I'll see you tomorrow." Madeline, with her charm, smiled obediently at him. As she passed me, her eyes were full of sarcasm. "Congratulations in advance, happy wedding." With that, she pushed me aside and walked away with a victorious air. After Madeline left, John dragged me into the car, his face dark. "Do you feel accomplished because I begged you to marry me?" Looking at the lipstick smudged on his lips, I took a deep breath and said, "Let's break up." The atmosphere in the car was heavy and dead. John sneered, "The wedding invitations have already been sent out. You're shameless, but my family still needs to maintain appearances." I was so tired. I closed my eyes and stopped speaking. John laughed scornfully and pressed the accelerator, as if he was certain I wouldn't break up with him. John hadn't been like this before. My mother died early, and my father worked as a chauffeur for John's family for over a decade. During an accident, he swerved the wheel to save John's parents. So, when I was 10, I became an orphan. John's parents, Aunt Jing and Uncle Song, took me into their home. They spoiled me and provided me with the best of everything. Yet, I still felt a lack of belonging. I missed home, missed my mom and dad. I woke up from nightmares countless times, curled up and crying. Fortunately, I had John. He stayed with me, comforted me, and gradually opened up my heart. I used to have nightmares every night, but after he started telling me bedtime stories, the nightmares stopped. Instead, his figure often appeared in my dreams. From then on, my heart had completely fallen for John. Unfortunately, I still couldn't compete with her first love. When John went to college, our schools were far apart. We talked on the phone every day, had video calls, and played two-player games together. His roommates joked that they had never seen a long-distance relationship as strong as ours. On the other end of the line, my heart raced as I waited for his response. "Yes, this is my little wife whom I've raised." I smiled slightly. "John, don't say that." But gradually, the calls became less frequent, and video calls lasted less than 10 seconds before ending. He had all sorts of things going on, all kinds of excuses. Even on my birthday, he didn't give me a single blessing. Later, he simply stopped communicating altogether, until Aunt Jing video called him, smiling and calling me over. "Nina, come and chat." I hesitated, then walked forward. "You?" Before I could finish, the call was ended. The chat interface quickly displayed a message. Something came up. "No more talking." Aunt Jing huffed, peeling an orange. "This child, I don't know what he's busy with all day." "Nina, when you talk to him at night, make sure to give Aunt Jing a good word about him. Is it right to just hang up on your mother without saying anything?" The peeled orange was handed to me, but I was oblivious. My mind was filled with the sound of him hanging up the phone. Every beep was a signal of impending separation. When John brought Madeline home, I learned he had a girlfriend. The atmosphere at home was gloomy, and the housekeeper, Clara, only set out 4 sets of cutlery. Madeline sat down before me, ordering Clara, "Didn't you see a set of cutlery is missing? Go get it." Her gaze toward me was proud and contemptuous. "The chauffeur's daughter shouldn't normally be at the family table, right? Since I'm here today, everyone's happy. On my account, you can stay too." Clara rolled her eyes. "Miss, the seat you're sitting in is Nina's." Aunt Jing, with a cold face, handed Clara the cutlery Madeline had touched. "Disinfect it 3 times." Uncle took a sip of tea and said, "We haven't prepared cutlery for outsiders. Please leave the table." Madeline's eyes immediately filled with tears, looking at John with a pitiful expression. He took her hand and silently walked out. I was stunned. Uncle threw a porcelain bowl at John. You bring someone back to bully Nina? Have you lost your mind? I gasped and got up to block it. The porcelain bowl shattered at my feet, the shards piercing my ankle, blood flowing out, causing me to fall to the ground. Aunt Jing and Uncle hurried to check my injury, and Clara ran upstairs for the first aid kit. Everyone was in a frenzy. I instinctively looked at John. Madeline cried as she hid in his arms. John, I'm scared. He held her and looked at me coldly. Nina, enough. There are so many people protecting you. Don't be unsatisfied. In the midst of the noise, I suddenly remembered that two-player game. When did his ID change to a couple's name? My ankle was in severe pain, and I couldn't help but cry. Seeing the suitcase, John looked surprised. After the surprise, there was deep displeasure. Still not done causing a scene? The clothes were neatly folded in the suitcase. I looked up at him. As a fiancé, I can't even get a single explanation. What's the point of being together? He leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette. Amidst the swirling smoke, his eyes were colder than ever. Nina, you still don't understand satisfaction, do you? This was the second time I heard him say that. I sighed. Do you expect me to watch you and Madeline be affectionate and still smile without being upset? Is that satisfaction? John, if you're interested in being a king with multiple wives, I'm not interested in serving Madeline. I closed the suitcase and tried to leave, but John blocked my way. He extinguished the cigarette and looked down at me. I warn you, Madeline is different from you. She's a good girl who won't casually be affectionate with other men. A cold chill instantly crawled up my heart, leaving me stunned. I stared at him, my mind blank, repeatedly confirming. Is this really John? He looked a bit panicked, as if just realizing what he had said. Don't be upset. I didn't mean. I raised my hand and slapped him hard. 3 years ago, Madeline insisted on going abroad. Within a month, her wedding news came back. When John heard the news, he locked himself in his room for 3 days. He didn't eat regular meals, only drank alcohol, becoming deeply depressed. I waited outside his door with food, sitting until my legs were sore, squatting until my feet were numb. Aunt Jing, with tears in her eyes, said to John inside, "You don't care about Mom or Dad, but you should think about Nina. She waited for you as long as you suffered. John, don't you have a heart?" That night, he opened the door and dragged me inside. His tall body pressed down on mine, my hands and feet bound tightly. I cried continuously, pleading for him to let me go. But he ignored everything, closing his eyes, and continuously kissed my eyes, nose, and lips. I heard him say, "Madeline, Madeline." The next day, he knelt on the ground, begging me to marry him. He said Madeline would never appear in our lives again. From then on, he would only be my John. This man who had been part of my youth carried all my love and all my reluctance. Being close to him might mean embracing pain. But looking at him, the love in my heart would keep surging, until it swallowed me. I had to believe him, couldn't help but believe him. And now, he said, Madeline is different from you. She won't casually get into bed with other men. The sound of the text message from Aunt Jing pulled me back to reality. She had baked my favorite little breads and sent them over, but hadn't seen me. Nina, are you unhappy? If John is bullying you, Aunt Jing will support you. I hesitated and replied, okay. Putting down the phone, I looked up and met the driver's hesitant gaze in the rearview mirror. Do you have something to say? He quickly shook his head, glancing at me nervously. I waited patiently for him to speak. He sighed. Nina, I'm just saying this casually, you can listen casually too. A few days ago, John asked me to pick up a woman. I thought, well, you rich folks, it's no big deal. But that woman brought a child, and also, I unconsciously tightened my grip on my arms. Go on. He's called John, Daddy. I closed my eyes. How old? About 3 or 4. It felt like the sea had rushed into my ears, causing a buzzing sound. I slumped in the seat, feeling powerless. John, you can't treat me like this. You just can't. I found a hotel to stay in. After a shower, I burrowed into the blanket, covering my head, desperately trying to isolate myself from the world. I tried not to do anything or think about anything. But I still dreamt about him. When I woke up, my face was streaked with tears. There were several unread messages on my phone, all from Layla. She had sent me an entertainment news article along with 5 voice messages, each 60 seconds long. John and his lovely wife and child are enjoying a day at the fairy tale park. In the dazzlingly grand castle, a little boy was riding on John's neck, and Madeline was sweetly feeding him ice cream. The happy life of a prince and princess in a fairy tale could not be more perfect. I almost tortured myself by repeatedly watching that video. Earlier this year, I had wanted to visit that amusement park, but John was always too busy. He said that when he had time, he would definitely take me. The topic had also exploded on social media. Amidst a flurry of good wishes, someone questioned why the Song family had said the wedding was a month away, yet the child was already 3 or 4 years old. Following that query, people realized that the woman in the video was actually John's ex-girlfriend. The real fiancé was me, a recently graduated, obscure jewelry designer who had been fostered by John since childhood. While everyone was discussing this, Madeline appeared on camera, crying and begging John to spare her and her child. Meanwhile, I was being vilified, with rumors spreading about how John used his power to force lovers apart. Layla, on the other hand, seized the microphone from a reporter at the end of a movie promotion event and exclaimed, "Madeline, you're such a pretender." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Layla's 5 voice messages, which I played one by one, were all scathing criticisms of John. It was like revisiting every dirty word I had ever heard in my life. In the last few seconds of the voice messages, she asked me, "Nina, do you no longer like John?" I wiped away my tears and slowly and solemnly replied to Layla, "Okay, I won't like him anymore." Just as I finished speaking, Aunt Jing's call came in. "I know everything, Nina. Don't worry, Aunt Jing is here. Not just anyone can marry into John's family." Her tone was heavy, clearly filled with anger. I turned on the tap, and the sound of running water made me even more awake. Looking at my swollen eyes in the mirror, I gave myself a bitter smile. "Aunt Jing, cancel the engagement." Letting him go is also letting myself go. There was a sudden crash on the other end of the line, as if something ceramic had fallen and shattered. After the commotion, there was silence. After a long time, I heard John's cold voice. "Come back and say it to my face." When I returned to the old house, Aunt Jing was holding my hand, tears streaming down as she cried and cursed John as a scoundrel. Uncle had collapsed from anger. Aunt Jing, being older, couldn't handle it, so Clara stayed at the hospital to take care of her. I forced a smile, trying to cheer her up. For over a decade, Uncle and Aunt Jing had treated me like their own child. I couldn't ignore them. John stood aside, staring at me with an expressionless face. His gaze was extremely cold, as if he was trying to see through me. "You knew all along, didn't you?" "What?" I didn't immediately react, and he stepped forward, grabbing my wrist. "Nina, you pretended to break up, but secretly had someone take photos, intentionally exposing Madeline and the child to the public. How come I never knew you were so scheming?" He gripped my hand tightly, causing me to gasp in pain. Aunt Jing threw a cup of cold tea in his face. "If it weren't for Nina's father, you'd be an orphan now. Do you still want to marry?" I shook my red and aching wrist. "No," I said. "I've said it, the engagement is cancelled." John picked up a teapot and threw it. The crisp sound of shattering filled the room. The light cast on John's face made him look incredibly dark and gloomy. "Who gave you the right to cancel it? Did I agree?" He gritted his teeth and suddenly threw a stack of documents at me. The sharp edges hit my forehead, causing pain that made my fingers tremble. The flying papers seemed like a long-awaited snowfall. I remembered a snowfall many years ago. I wore the scarf he had knitted, and we laughed and played in the snow. He said, "Nina, I will treat you well for a lifetime." Countless past memories flashed through my mind like a fragmented movie. I closed my eyes. "The child will be raised by you, and my place as a wife will always be yours." Madeline worked hard to give birth to a child, she did nothing wrong. "Nina, I've already given you enough face, don't make things difficult for me." Aunt Jing slapped him across the face. The scolding and cursing, their faces. I couldn't hear or see clearly. 13 years. 13 years of John. He offered no explanations or remorse, as if granting me a favor, saying that the position of wife would always be mine. I thought I could remain calm, but I couldn't control my grievances, sadness, or tears. "John, I don't pick up trash, and I don't have a penchant for being a stepmother. We're done here. I loved someone for 13 years, what did I do wrong? Why? Why make me so embarrassed?" When I woke up, everything around me was a vague white. Layla sat by the hospital bed, seriously peeling an apple. I thought she was patiently peeling it. Looking down, I saw she was stabbing the apple with a knife. "John, go to hell, just go to hell." When she saw I was awake, she quickly got up to pour me some water. Her eyes held an indescribable pain and frustration. "You're the first to get so angry you end up in the hospital. That dog John still dares to hurt people. Your wrist is dislocated." On the way to her house, she kept mumbling. "There are plenty of men. I'll introduce you to another one." I looked out the window, silent. "I've given up on John. I won't love him anymore. Just forget it. But I don't want to touch love again." Seeing my distress, Layla didn't say more, just gently patted the back of my hand. "Be good, Nina, don't be sad." After dropping me off at her house, the phone rang from the set. Before leaving, she winked at me. "Don't run around. Stay home and wait. I've arranged for a delivery of desserts. But I don't like sweets." Just as I was about to ask her to take it back, she left. Soon, the doorbell rang. Seeing the man on the surveillance monitor, I froze. Oh no. The delivery of desserts Layla mentioned, could it be him? I thought for a moment and opened the door. Layla wasn't exaggerating, the person who arrived was indeed very handsome. His emerald eyes were clear and pure, as if they had fallen into a crescent-shaped lake. "Don't you remember me? Do we know each other? This is so awkward. I have no recollection of him at all." He looked a bit helpless and said, "All right, let me introduce myself. I'm Denzel." "Nina." The sudden, sharp shout made me shiver. John was standing not far away, his face cold as ice. "Do you have any idea how worried I was about you? I thought you had left, thought you were missing. I searched everywhere for you." "And you? Who is this man? Explain yourself." Madeline had one arm around him and the other holding the child, biting her lower lip and staring at me intensely. After a moment, she smiled and tilted her head, leaning on John's shoulder. "It looks like Nina is fine, she can even meet up with friends. Let's take our son out to eat." Denzel frowned deeply. Seeing that he was about to speak, I hurriedly hugged him. He stiffened, his beautiful eyes filled with questions. I gritted my teeth and whispered, audible only to us, "Don't say anything. Just help me." He responded with a laugh, "It's my pleasure." John clenched his fists. "What are you two doing alone together?" I leaned against Denzel, my wavy hair falling into his palm. "John, we've already broken up. You have no right to question me." His eyes grew cold. "I told you not to be shameless. You want John's, but you..." I straightened up. "Did you ever think about John's face when I caught you kissing your ex in the car? With the wedding just a month away, did you consider John's face when your illegitimate child called him Dad? With the wedding just a month away, did you consider John's face when your illegitimate child called him Dad?" The man beside me sighed. He pried open my tightly clasped hands and smoothed out the crescent-shaped red marks. I couldn't help but look up at him. In his emerald eyes, the emotion that resonated was one of concern. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept past me, and I instinctively took a step back. John advanced and threw a punch at Denzel, who caught it effortlessly with one hand. Don't touch her. John's voice was hoarse and laced with intense hostility. Denzel looked at him for a moment, then suddenly flashed a smile at me. Nina, what do you see in him? For some reason, I sensed a hint of familiarity in his words. With no time to think, I stood in front of Denzel and pushed John away. Are you crazy? John stared at me with rage-filled eyes. It was as if he couldn't believe I was pushing him away for someone else. Madeline, who had been left behind, suddenly burst into uncontrollable tears. Her makeup was perfect, but her tears made her look pitiful as she squatted down and hugged her child. Nina, how can you call Crew an illegitimate child? He's only 3. He just longs for his father's love. What's wrong with that? Please, be merciful. She cried out to me, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have divorced John, shouldn't have clung to him, shouldn't have let Crew plead for a bit of fatherly love. It's all my fault. I am at fault. I am the sinner, but my Crew is innocent. She cried fiercely, and the child, affected by his mother's emotions, wailed loudly too. The child even threw a toy gun at me. Bad person. Bullying my mommy, bad auntie. Denzel stepped in front of me immediately. The sharp edge of the gun left a cut on his arm. But John simply walked over, patted the child's head, and offered no reprimand. He held Madeline and looked at me with extreme indifference. Nina, apologize. I trembled with anger. Why should I apologize to her? What is she to me? John's voice was filled with scorn. And what are you? Since you were 10, everything you had, clothing, food, shelter, was provided by John's. Without John's, do you think anyone would still respect you as Nina? You don't owe me anything? How dare you say that? It felt like someone had suddenly torn open a wound in my heart. The biting cold wind seemed to sweep in with those words. I had dreamed a good dream for over 10 years. Now, I had finally woken up. Denzel wrapped his arm around my shoulders. I'm pursuing Nina. Although I haven't succeeded yet, I personally believe I am more deserving of standing by her side than you. Just take care of your ex-girlfriend and her child. Nina's matters are none of your business. John's lips curled into a cruel smile. None of my business? Are you saying it's your business? A woman who has nothing without me, and you still treat her like a treasure? Before I could speak, Denzel gave me a deep look. To truly love someone is to remember her sparkling brilliance, to not let her become tarnished. Not like you, who humiliates her, suppresses her, and tries to make her your subordinate. I almost forgot that I was also a gem. My hand-drawn designs once fetched a sky-high price at an auction. The entire jewelry industry knew of my existence. Later, due to John's long-term alcoholism and frequent stomach issues, I had not touched my pen for a long time to take care of him. The hidden splendor in my pen had faded in my heart. But no one knew that Winter's true identity was me. Denzel's words kept echoing in my mind. He seemed to really know me. But I had no memory of him. I stood by the window, looking at the thin layer of snow on the ground. This winter seems particularly long. Spring is delayed because you're immersed in the current storm. Denzel came from behind, his eyes smiling. Since that day, I haven't seen John again. Instead, Denzel kept coming to Layla's house to see me, claiming to be a companion nurse hired by Layla. When I asked Layla, she was chewing on a vegetable salad and thought for a moment before confidently saying, yes. I hired him. I didn't care about their little tricks. Aunt Jing frequently called me, chatting about everything but John. Perhaps she was afraid of upsetting me. But after a while, she couldn't hold back and tentatively asked me, Nina, is it really over with John? While slicing fruit, I coquettishly replied, what, if I don't marry John, won't you love me anymore? She pretended to be angry and said a few words to me, then continued awkwardly, I've met Crew before. He's a good kid, just a bit shy. I paused my actions and fell silent. On the other end of the phone, Aunt Jing's voice was choked with emotion, no matter what, you'll always be Aunt Jing's treasure. I knew it was just natural sentiment, but I couldn't help feeling sad. Leaning against the doorframe, I didn't know how long I had been standing there. After hanging up the phone, I turned around and was startled to see Denzel. I pushed him with some force, but he didn't budge. A muffled chuckle came from above my head. I was both embarrassed and angry, glaring at him in silence. He only laughed deeper. Are you a pufferfish, puffing up with anger? Are you upset? I lowered my head and remained silent. Nina, there will definitely be someone in this world who will always steadfastly choose you, I promise you, he said, his voice particularly deep and pleasant. Looking at his deep-set eyes, some fragmented memories suddenly flashed through my mind. Have we really met before? He blinked, taking the fruit platter from my hand. Nina, think about it again. I followed him, but suddenly through the window, I saw Madeline. She was with a man. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the man raised his hand and slapped her. As if that wasn't enough, the man lunged at her, beating her with fists and kicks. I didn't want to get involved, but her child was also John's. Thinking of Aunt Jing and Uncle, I gritted my teeth and ran outside. Stop it! The man had his back to me, but when he heard my voice, he fled. Madeline was sitting on the ground, her long hair messily covering her face, looking extremely disheveled. Are you laughing at me? I glanced at her. Fine, except for her brain, she seemed to be fine. I turned to leave, but she crazily got up, grabbing me and forcing me to face her. If it weren't for you, how would I have ended up like this? Nina, you have to pay the price. I shook her off. If you're sick, get treatment, don't go crazy at me. When I walked back to my room, Madeline was still staring at me from downstairs. Her eyes were full of resentment. Denzel urged me to continue working on my design drawings. He was flipping through my old manuscripts. Maybe one day, your hard work will turn into a tangible object, displayed on a showcase or carefully collected. He seemed to have a magical power, reigniting the hidden dreams in my heart. So I started drawing again. The sound of the pencil scraping across the paper gradually calmed my mind. Late at night, a cold wind suddenly blew from the right. Perhaps the window wasn't closed properly, so I went over to check each window carefully. When I reached the stairwell, someone suddenly grabbed my neck. I didn't have time to struggle before I was knocked unconscious. In the bumpy car, as consciousness faded, I heard a man's voice, "Damn woman, if I can't have it good, neither will you." A cloth with a foul smell was pressed over my face. My phone was left at home, and I had no way to communicate with the outside world. With my eyes covered, I couldn't tell how long it had been or whether it was day or night. Suddenly, a glimmer of light appeared in the darkness. Someone had opened the door. Footsteps stopped in front of me, and after the rope on my wrists was untied, a dry piece of bread was shoved into my hand. Eat, don't be ungrateful. Keep your mouth in check. It was the same man's voice from the car. I nodded. The tape on my mouth was suddenly ripped off, bringing a stinging pain. I didn't dare hesitate and quickly shoved the bread into my mouth. Eating too quickly, I choked on it and couldn't stop coughing. The man kicked me harshly and then left. I hurriedly tore off the cloth from my eyes and quickly assessed my surroundings. It seemed to be a large flat, but the windows were very small, making escape impossible for an adult. Footsteps sounded again, and I quickly resumed my previous pose. The man grabbed my chin and started pouring water down my throat. The water flowed quickly, nearly choking me. He suddenly laughed. John sure taught you well. Unlike that bitch Madeline, who just whines and makes a fuss whenever she's in pain. I suddenly remembered the man who had beaten Madeline. You're her ex-husband? Pan Shao didn't deny it. He slowly removed the cloth from my eyes and showed me a conversation. It was between him and John. He had sent John 2 videos. One was of me, the other of Madeline. Unlike mine, her video was taken in a very small, cold, and damp space, with rats scurrying on the floor. Madeline promised that if she got John's money, she would go abroad with me. But she dared to deceive me. That bitch, she wants to be with John and ditch me. She even tried to use me to get rid of you, his fiancé. How could I be that stupid? If John dares to steal my woman, I won't leave him any. He laughed as he touched my face. You're much prettier than Madeline, but why doesn't John even care about you? I saw it. The video of Madeline had been read. Mine, however, had not even been opened. Pan Shao even intentionally reminded him to watch the other video. John only replied, I can recognize who that is from the cover. I only ask, how is Madeline? Even Pan Shao was surprised at his indifference towards me, and thus found it amusing to share with me. I forced a bitter smile and shrugged, Brother Pan, don't be angry. His soul was stolen away by your ex-wife. How could he still care about me? Let me go, okay? Pan Shao stroked his chin and suddenly pulled out a knife from his waistband, its cold gleam shining in my face. Do you think I'm a fool? Let you out so you can call the police? I'm just a girl, I'm scared too. I trembled and sobbed as I replied, what's the point of calling the police? I wish she'd just kill Madeline. I hate her. He scrutinized me for a while, then reversed the knife, offering the handle to me. Shall we cooperate? Pan Shao called John, demanding 30 million for my release. He said, as long as Madeline is safe, it's fine. Aunt Jing's voice trembled with urgency, what about Nina? How much does he want to let Nina go? John's cold voice reached my ears. Nina is just a bargaining chip to threaten me, but Madeline is different. She's the mother of my child, and I must protect her. When the call ended, I grabbed the knife and rushed into the room where Madeline was. She was lying there with her hands tied, her hair in disarray. I aimed a knife at her thigh. If it weren't for her, if it weren't for John, how would I have ended up in this situation? Damn it. They all deserve to die. Pan Shao looked at me with satisfaction, seeing me as if possessed by a demon. Soon, his men brought the money. Pan Shao triumphantly looked at the money box and instructed me to hold Madeline hostage, giving him time to escape. I get the money, you get the chance for revenge. Let's work well together. I didn't speak further, grabbing Madeline's hair and heading for the rooftop. Below, there were more than 10 police cars, Aunt Jing, Uncle, and Layla. They had all arrived. John rushed down from the car as he saw me dragging Madeline. The police snipers were already in position. I pushed Madeline. With one more push, she would fall from this high building. Even if she didn't die, she'd be severely injured. Layla shouted up at me, Nina, be good. Let's come down. It's not worth it for these two scumbags. Aunt Jing was crying in Uncle's arms, looking up at me with sorrow, good child, don't go this far. Looking at the chaos below, I whispered something in Madeline's ear. She turned around, looking at me in shock. Layla hurriedly went to negotiate with the police, desperately trying to buy a little more time. At that moment, I heard John's voice, clear and devoid of any emotion. What are you waiting for? Isn't the safety of the hostages the most important? Shoot the kidnappers. It's a lie to say I'm not upset. No one wants to be abandoned in a choice between two options. Denzel said there would be someone who would steadfastly choose me forever. Liar. I silently stared at John, each glance was a complete farewell to him. A farewell to the past 13 years. Gunshots echoed through the twilight, piercing flesh and blood. Madeline's restraints had long been removed by me. She was shocked and covered her face, but still got splattered with blood. It's Denzel. He somehow made it to the rooftop and took the bullet that was coming straight at me. The scene was chaotic, police, crowds, evacuation sirens, comforting voices, screams, and cries all around. I stared at Denzel in disbelief, feeling as if all my blood had coagulated at that moment. The increasingly heavy scent of blood signaled the passing of life. My legs went weak, and I struggled to crawl over and hold him in my arms. The dark barrel of the gun, so much blood flowing out. I held him, crying so hard I could barely speak. He half opened his eyes and looked at me. I promised you, didn't I? There would definitely be someone like this. Nina, don't cry, I remembered. In my freshman year, I flew to France with my first piece of work to participate in a jewelry design competition. Back then, my alias was Nina. But things didn't go well, and I only got second place. On the Champs-Élysées, I cried uncontrollably. I was young and impulsive, thinking everything was within reach and couldn't handle setbacks. Denzel was the chief designer, and as a judge, he saw my work and saw me crying uncontrollably after the loss. The sunlight filtered through the plane trees, casting mottled shadows on the ground. He bent down, handed me a handkerchief, and comforted me gently. "Nina, keep drawing, don't waste your talent. I promise you, one day, someone will see your brilliance and choose you unwaveringly." I still keep that handkerchief with me to this day. But I forgot about him. Denzel is gone. His family took him back to France. Layla said it was Denzel who reached out to her. 6 months ago, he came to China looking for that girl who had cried so publicly on the street. Layla asked him why. He smiled slightly and said, "She was so stubborn and unyielding, it was very endearing." Layla was stunned and then told him, unfortunately, that girl had suffered greatly in love. So, 6 months later, when Layla sent him a message asking, "Are you interested in giving her another chance?" he reappeared. He always stood in front of me, showing me through his actions that I was good, I wasn't wrong, and I deserved to be chosen unwaveringly. But why did he disappear again? I clutched Layla's hand, repeatedly confirming that he was truly alive and in no immediate danger. Only after receiving a positive answer was I able to feel at ease. The police reviewed the entire case and confirmed that I hadn't committed any crime. I actually tried to save people. I pretended to align with Pan Xiao, but in reality, I untied the rope from Madeline's hands while he wasn't looking. Unfortunately, as soon as I told her to run, John nodded to approve the shooting. As for the knife, I insisted it was to confuse Pan Xiao, and the police didn't question it further. But why did Denzel have to suffer this disaster? I told the police that Madeline was also involved in the kidnapping case. To my surprise, the police not only captured Madeline but also traced the evidence and found out that Crew wasn't John's child at all. Madeline had adopted him from the orphanage because he resembled John. Even the test reports were arranged by Pan Xiao with money. After Madeline married Pan Xiao, their family fortune was quickly lost to gambling, so Pan Xiao forced Madeline to get money. But Madeline couldn't get any money, her family was ordinary, and apart from her good looks, she had nothing. Pan Xiao first forced her to sell a kidney and then began to pressure her into prostitution. Eventually, amid the daily torment, Madeline remembered John. She begged Pan Xiao to let her return to her country to get some money and promised to come back to him. After finding John with the child, she didn't want to leave. Moreover, she wanted to use Pan Xiao to eliminate me, the only two obstacles in her life. But unexpectedly, it ended like this. After Madeline was taken away by the police, John came to see me every day. He acted like a dog begging for attention. Layla found new amusement each day, opening the window in the morning to scold John, "You dog, coming here to knock on my door again." One night, when I opened the door, he was beaming and tried to take my hand. I didn't let him touch me, pulling my hand back and slowly recounting a past event to him. When my dad had just died, others bullied me and mocked me, saying my dad's death bought your John's wealth and glory. That day he left was my birthday, and the little bear he bought for me was in the passenger seat, but he couldn't give it to me himself. That little bear was later stepped on and covered in mud. You were the one who picked it up, cleaned it, and gave it back to me. After that, I considered you the most important person to me. His face turned pale, his lips trembling. The regret and pain in his eyes made me feel disgusted. I put a finger to my lips to signal him to stop talking. It's just that after all these years, I've finally seen that you don't deserve my love. He smiled bitterly, and many emotions flashed in his eyes. Finally, he lowered his head and whispered, "I love you. It doesn't matter anymore. Anything that decays must give way to new life. I need to seek out my own spring." I couldn't find Denzel, but that's okay. I can try hard to make him see me. Years later, Nina, who once lost the competition and cried without dignity on the Champs-Élysées, returned to the international competition stage with its spring series of jewelry designs. When the spotlight shone on me, the audience erupted in applause. I walked to the front of the stage, carefully searching the audience. He didn't come. I swallowed my bitterness and showed a strained smile. So, is there nothing you want to say? I turned slowly. He smiled, as the award presenter handed me the trophy, his deep voice through the microphone once again reaching my ears. Could it be that Nina is so happy she can't speak? Let's give her another round of applause. The applause grew even louder. My eyes welled up with tears. I want to thank someone who encouraged me to get through that storm. I just don't know if he's willing to walk into the next spring with me. Denzel raised his eyebrows and looked straight into my eyes. I already told you the answer. Nina, I promise you, there will definitely be someone who will choose you unwaveringly. I guarantee it. Denzel and I went to John's place. There are still feelings involved, so we can't just erase everything because of John. They understood, so they didn't mention John at all during the visit. But as we were about to leave, Aunt Jing moved her lips and tears welled up in her eyes. Uncle tugged at her a few times, and she remained silent. Seeing this, Denzel squeezed my hand. I'll wait for you in the car. After he left, Aunt Jing crouched down, sobbing uncontrollably. Nina, Aunt Jing really doesn't know what to do. Aunt Jing knows we're sorry for you, but John? John is dying. John is ill. Late-stage stomach cancer. Years ago, due to Madeline, he went abroad and married, and excessive drinking led to stomach problems. At that time, I took care of him meticulously, giving him medicinal meals 3 times a day. Unfortunately, he brought this upon himself. After I left, he began to drink heavily again, as if possessed. Eventually, he ended up in the hospital. This time, heaven gave him no chance and sentenced him to death. Aunt Jing begged me to go see him, even if just for a moment, to fulfill his last wish. I couldn't ignore her tears. After all, John's had given me some warmth in life. Seeing John again, I felt a pang of sorrow. He no longer had his former vitality and looked weak and haggard. When he saw me, his eyes lit up, but when he noticed my diamond ring, they darkened. He struggled to take out a ring and handed it to me. I didn't take it. He placed it in his palm and said to himself, "This was the birthday gift I prepared for you that year." In an instant, I remembered that birthday he never had a chance to bless me. That was when I grew further apart from him. I sneaked home back then to surprise you. But I overheard my parents talking. They said your dad came to John's just for my mom. They were first loves, but in the end, they were separated by my grandfather. I don't know why, but I felt very uncomfortable. Being good to you felt like betraying my dad. So, I deliberately distanced myself from you. I sighed wearily. John, don't make excuses for yourself. My dad told me about this a long time ago. Please respect my father and your mother. To him, his time with Aunt Jing was just old news. He came to John's to treat my mother's illness. Nina, I'm not making excuses. I just wanted to tell you that I love you. He lowered his head, weeping like a lost dog. I love you. I love you. I love you. I regret it, I didn't want this. I stood up and looked at him calmly. But I'm not going to pay for your regrets. Denzel was still downstairs and I didn't want him to wait too long. As I opened the door, he was behind me and spoke timidly. Don't forgive me, okay? I'd rather be hated by you than not care about me. I didn't turn around. John, between us, there was no love and no hate. A few months later, Aunt Jing and Uncle were ready to retire, and 51% of John's shares were given to me. In addition, John's suicide note was also given to me. Nina, when you look at me, you're so calm, like I've never lived in those eyes before. I know that I am the one who has wronged you, and I am only worthy of being a passerby in your life. In the future, I will watch you from heaven, see you shining brightly, see you grand and passionate. What I owe you, I will repay you in the next life. I didn't feel much after reading it. Once the lighter was lit, it went with the wind. Denzel looked as normal, only his grip on my hand subconsciously tightened. He never asked me what Aunt Jing said last time, as if he was deliberately avoiding it. Until today, he didn't know about John's death either. But when he saw John's address on the courier, he was obviously a little nervous. This feeling was new to me. It turned out that Denzel, who was always at ease, would also be overwhelmed and jealous. Last time, you saw John? I thought for a moment and nodded. I saw him, he told me he loved me and gave me a diamond ring. He looked up in panic, his eyes burning into mine. You took it? I pursed my lips, didn't hold back and burst out laughing. Look at you in a hurry, I'm wearing a wedding ring you designed yourself, how could I settle for second best? He rubbed my cheeks. Good for you, Nina, you've learned to tease. I winked and moved forward, capturing his lips in a soft kiss. It's not just the ring, man, I won't settle for second best. I only like you. Denzel's eyes deepened, and he tugged my chin in a way that couldn't be denied. He was just about to kiss me when I remembered something. Why did you fall in love with me at first sight in the first place? Obviously, I was crying my eyes out. Wow. Denzel, you're not a pervert, are you? You like seeing little girls cry, don't you? He laughed in anger and leaned over, forcing me to fall back onto the bed. As his breath mingled, he bit my earlobe, his voice low. You're right, I like to see you cry.